Hello, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the show. Listen, advancements are coming so quick in cryptocurrencies. It's hard for me to actually keep up. I'm telling you, it's just like bam, 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 new stuff coming. Cryptocurrency's growing so fast right now, it's unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. This little boost in price we've had is making it grow like exponentially faster. And the way cryptocurrency is viewed is changing very, very, very quickly from the way it was viewed the last time we had cryptocurrency go into a bubble. But I'm going to tell you what, guys, I think there's one more bubble. I think this is the last bubble coming up, right? I think it's going to fall because it's a bubble. All bubbles burst. It's going to fall, but this is the last bubble. When it falls down to its bottom, it'll do what it's done many times before. It'll find a bottom again. It'll go way down again from this bubble. It might go up to 100,000 in this bubble. It'll fall back down maybe to 15,000. It'll never fall back down to where it was before, like $3,000. You'll never see Bitcoin at 3,000 again. But I think this next one is the big one, coming after it finishes the bottoming process. After this next bubble bursts, it goes down to the bottom. I think the next one is the big one. I think it's going to go up and never come down. It's not going to go into a bubble. It's going to go into a monster of a mountain and stay up there forever when it does. So you're going to get your chances. This is not too late. You're actually still an early adopter in cryptocurrency right now. Let's talk Bitcoin. Let's get the charts open right here, and let's take a look. We got a Bitcoin perma-bear out there, Peter Schiff. You know, now he's great. He's leading edge. He's cutting edge as far as I'm concerned in his predictions of the financial system. But I think he's got Bitcoin all wrong. It's one of the few things I think he's got wrong. But I think he's got Bitcoin all wrong, you know. And anyway, he's went out there and he said, Bitcoin buyers are dumb, inexperienced kids. You know, I have to laugh because, you know, I mean, I think it just must have just come out of his mouth. I know he doesn't like Bitcoin, but he says a bunch of young, inexperienced kids are going to be dumb enough to buy Bitcoin. He says maybe they will, but as they get older, they're going to learn better. Well, I'll tell you what. I think if they are kids that buy Bitcoin, right, they are going to be the smart ones, because as they get older, like he says here, they're not going to learn better. They're going to say, oh my goodness, I'm so glad I bought those Bitcoins 5 years ago or 10 years ago, because now I got life on the easy street. You know, if I hadn't have bought those, you know, they're gonna be glad they bought them instead of feeling upset about it later on in life. And it was pointed out to him, though, that half of the audience he was speaking to owned Bitcoin. So he doubled down. He said, he compared Bitcoin to gambling. He said, I doubt they have a substantial amount of it. Maybe they bought it like they would go into a casino and buy chips. Anyway, for some reason, Peter's just not catching on to the technology. Maybe he hasn't really researched it enough to find out that it's not a global Ponzi scheme. It's real. It's growing by the day. There's no going back now. The damage has been done. We can't put the horse back in the barn at this point. Now, we see Bitcoin growing exponentially, you know. It's going into another bubble. It's getting ready. It's starting to heat up. Now, how we go into these bubbles is we go up really like this, you know, and then what happens is then we fall off a little bit. Right? Now, we've had the big woof up, right? And now we get the little fall off a little bit. Right? But don't be fooled, because that fall off precedes another big woof up again. So you get these legs up, and you get a little fall off, and then another big leg up, and then another fall off. And so I think that's where we are now. I think we're in these legs up and then a fall off. So we just had a leg up. It took us all the way up to like over $8,000. You know, now I think what's going to happen is it's going to stumble along. We might get the fall off a little bit, you know, before the next leg up. This is where we're at, and this is exciting times. You got to. Personally, I still don't think it's too expensive for me. I still think that it's still worthwhile. Try to buy the dips, but you know, the next leg up, I think I'm going to be priced out. You know, and then I'm just going to have to sit on the sidelines with whatever I got while it was cheaper, you know, and watch and wait, you know, and while it goes into a bubble. The timing at the top of this bubble is going to be enormously important. Now let's take a look at something different here. Bitcoin has a new node phone, and it's hailed as one of the major developments in blockchain. It holds a whole node. It's a phone, evidently, it's a telephone. And it holds a whole Bitcoin node. It says HTC's announcement that it is planning a smartphone, the HTC Exodus 1, it'll be able to act as a full node for Bitcoin. The network has been hailed as a highly significant development for blockchain technology. Announced at the Magical Crypto Conference on Saturday, the Exodus 1 will allow customers to store all data from the Bitcoin blockchain on their device. This will allow users to verify the data themselves and maintain their own private keys. So this is a wallet that will hold your own private keys. It must have a really large hard disk on it, able to hold a lot of information, you know, because to hold a whole node of the Bitcoin network, I mean, it takes you about several days just to download it off a high-speed internet connection, you know, but evidently this is going to hold an entire node of the Bitcoin network, this phone. Which is very interesting because most people that when they work with Bitcoin on their telephone, they don't hold the whole node on their phone, you know. I don't think they hold their private keys either on their phone. I'm just not exactly sure about that, but I know that they don't hold the whole node, which takes like, I think it's like, what was it, 80 or 90 gigabytes of storage or something like that. Anyway, so this holds a whole node of the Bitcoin network. Bitcoin is going to transform everything. And there's a problem with all of this. Is we have a system that's already structured and already in place. The fiat monetary system. And it's integrated into everything. If Bitcoin moves too quickly, it can create a changeover effect where the system can't catch up. Bitcoin is moving faster than the system, and the integration can't catch up in time, and we get a collapsing fiat currencies. It could be actually caused by Bitcoin. The fiat currencies could actually collapse in value because you have to understand what happens when somebody buys Bitcoin, takes their fiat to buy Bitcoin with it. That fiat doesn't get destroyed. What happens is, picture a particular man goes to the bank and he wants to buy Bitcoin and he has $1,000 in the bank. Well, that $1,000 he had in the bank had the movement of that money, which is called the velocity of money. That's how fast money transfers through the system, you know. Like if you were to take a $5 bill and put a little tiny mark on it someplace with, say, a fountain pen, and say you spent that bill, and say that bill went around in the end of the day and you got that bill back. Say you went and spent it on gas in the morning, and at the end of the day, someplace, you know, you went to buy something and they gave you that bill back in change. How many times did that bill change hands during the course of that day? That's the velocity of money. It's how fast money's moving. So now, say this guy goes to the bank and he gets his $1,000 out to buy Bitcoin with. Well, that money was sitting in the bank. It had a velocity of 0. Not moving. Dead still. Right? Suddenly, he buys a Bitcoin. Now, the Bitcoin, he bought it for a reason. The reason was not to spend it. Almost nobody now that's buying Bitcoin is spending them. So he bought it. Now the Bitcoin has a velocity of 0. Right? It's not going anywhere. It's in his wallet, and man, he's so proud of himself. Walking around with his head higher, you know. He breathes in the air walking home that evening, and he says, man, the air smells fresh today. And he's got a little spring in his step because now he's in the game. You know what I mean? He's bought some Bitcoin. And he goes the next day and he sees Bitcoin going up in price, you know. He's all happy with himself because he knows that inflation was eating his dollars away. But now that money that went to purchase that Bitcoin, right? What about the other guy that received that money on the other end, that $1,000? Is he going to just put it in the bank and leave it there with a velocity of 0? Probably not, because he knows that inflation's going to eat that away, and he also has costs and expenses. Mining, he might have bought a mining machine, he might have bought some, he might need some new tires on his car or whatever. Maybe he'll have that whole $1,000 spent before he even gets home, because he sold the Bitcoin because he needed the money. So now what's happened is the fiat money has sped up its velocity with the purchase of the Bitcoin, and the Bitcoin has slowed down its velocity. A slower velocity of money is why currencies maintain their value, because the velocity of money is low. When the velocity of money increases, inflation starts to pick up. It breeds inflation like nothing else. So Bitcoin actually acts as an inflation breeder. It actually acts as fuel to make inflation run away. And so now, when you get trillions of dollars pouring into the Bitcoin industry, at a certain point it'll start to have an effect on the velocity of money on the dollar. And there's more than one factor that creates hyperinflation. One of the factors you need is the velocity of money has to be high. People have to be spending it fast, spending it, right? That's the velocity of money has to increase. And the second factor you need for hyperinflation, another big factor is people start to lose confidence in the purchasing power of their dollars. And so if their dollars are flying out there chasing goods and services, this means the prices of goods and services increase because the velocity of money is increased. You see? And now this makes the dollar start to go down in value, while Bitcoin, everybody's buying them and HODLing them. They're taking them off of the market, so there's less available, for one thing, to buy. There's less Bitcoin available, so the price goes up. And as the price continually goes up, it makes these people want to hold them more. Nobody's going to want to sell them. So what you're going to actually see in the end is the entire network out there of Bitcoins, where when Bitcoin prices were cheap, you did see people going out and just trying it out as a novelty to buy a hamburger with or buy a dress with or whatever. But nobody in their right mind's going to do that anymore. Now that the Bitcoin price is going up daily, everybody's going to be HODLing them, and this makes a vicious cycle. This vicious cycle is hard to stop. Once it gets going, once it gets a big, like a ball rolling down a hill. Whereas the opposite, this vicious cycle that's going to attack the dollar, where dollars inflation keeps going up and up, higher and higher. In other words, dollars losing value, Bitcoin is gaining value. This creates a wealth transfer. And once this gets going, it can start happening very quickly. Listen, thank you guys for listening. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next show. Bye-bye, guys.